All right, so this is page 2 of the Chapter 1 practice test for geometry. And we're up at the top with number 11, which says to find the measure of angle PQR if QT bisects angle PQR. So you got to know what this word bisects means. It cuts it exactly in half. Okay, so if it cuts it exactly in half, then if we know each of the measurements, we can set them equal to each other. So if the measure of angle RQT, so here's R, here's Q, here's T, is 6x minus 40, and PQT is x plus 65, we can take those two algebraic expressions and set them equal to each other. So we've got 6x minus 40 equals x plus 65. We subtract x from both sides. In the same step, I'm also going to add 40 to both sides. These are opposites, these are opposites. 6x minus 1x is 5x. And 65 plus 40 is 105. So when we divide both sides by 5, we get x is equal to 21. Notice this doesn't say what is x. This says what is the measure of angle PQR. So PQR is the whole angle. So we can plug it in and get one of them, but then we need to double it to get the whole thing. So if I plug 21 in here, 21 plus 65 is what, 86? Then we just need to double that, or multiply it by 2. We should get 172 degrees. Okay? Number 12 says find the value of x. We know that the whole measurement is 32. And we're going to use this segment addition postulate where we're going to add these two expressions and set it equal to 32. So 3x plus x plus 8 is equal to 32. Combine our like terms. Over here we have 4x plus 8. Subtract the 8 from both sides. And so 4x is equal to 24. Divide both sides by 4 and we get x equals 6. And this time they are asking us for 6. But they could have asked us for TB or VW, and you just plug it back in. All right. Number 13 says B is the midpoint. Midpoint meaning exactly in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to put little tick marks to show that they're congruent. And then AB is going to measure 10x plus 3, and BC is going to measure 14x minus 13. We need to find AC, the whole thing. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is set these equal to each other. Subtract the 10x from both sides. Add 13 in the same step. Opposites, opposites. 14x minus 10x is 4x. 3 plus 13 is 16. So when we divide both sides by 4, we get x equals 4. So we have to take that number and plug it back in. Since they're equal or congruent, it doesn't matter which one we use. So I'm going to pick the easier one, which is that one over there. So I go 10 times 4 plus 3. So 43. And then I just need to double it. So that's what, 86? 86 is the final answer. All right, for number 14, we're going to use the formula to find the midpoint. So the midpoint formula, you just want to add your x's and divide by 2, and then add your y's and divide by 2. So if you label them x1 and y1 and x2 and y2, then you're sure to get them in the correct spot. All right, so I'm going to have my 3 and my 3, divide that by 2, and then for the y's, I'm going to have my 1 and my 7, and divide by 2. So 3 plus 3 is 6, 1 plus 7 is 8, divide them each by 2, I've got 3, 4 is the point that's exactly in the middle. All right, jumping up to number 15. For 15, we're going to find the distance, so we're going to use the distance formula. And again, we can label them x1 and y1, x2 and y2, and then you make sure you plug them in the right spot. So if we're finding the length of AB, I'll write the formula for you first. So we're going to take your x's, subtract them, and square it. Take your y's, subtract them, and then square it. So we just want to make sure we plug all that in correctly. So x1 minus x2, so 6 minus 2, and then square it. And then 6 minus 1, and then square it. So we've got 4 under here, so we've got 4 squared plus, and then 6 minus 1 is 5, so 5 squared. So this is what, 16 and 25? We add 16 and 25, we get the square root of 41, which is prime. Okay, so we're just going to leave it as the square root of 41. If they ask you to change it to a decimal, you just type the square root, whoops, of 41, hit the equal sign. It's roughly, approximately 6.4. So this is as a simplified radical, and this is as a decimal to the nearest tenth. It just depends how they ask you for your answer. Number 16, what is the perimeter of a square with a side of 5 feet? So if you have a little square here, you know that squares have all 4 sides congruent. So if this one's 5, they've all got to be 5 feet. And for the perimeter, you just add them. 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. So should be 20 feet. Jumping down to number 17, what is the circumference and area of the circle below? Keep your answers in terms of pi. So for circumference, we're going to use the formula 2 pi r. And the radius right here happens to be 3. So we're going to plug in 3. 2 pi times 3 is 6 pi. And that one is in centimeters. For the area, we're going to use pi r squared. So that's pi times 3 squared. So that one is 9 pi. And this one is in centimeters squared. All right. Number 18, what is the area of the triangle below? We need base and height. So here's your base, here's your height, and then we're going to divide by 2. So we should have 1/2 5 times 8. I know 5 times 8 is 40, so I'm going to take 40 and divide it by 2. I get 20, and the measurement units is centimeters squared. Number 19, a can of paint will cover 108 square feet. How many cans of paint are needed to paint a wall that is 6 feet high and 75 feet long? So first I need to find the area of the wall. So I'm going to multiply that 6 times the 75. You can punch it in your calculator. I got 450. And I know that each can of paint covers 108, so I'm going to take that 450 and divide it by 108. And you get something roughly close to 4.1-ish. But when you go to Home Depot, can you buy 4.1 cans? No, they want all your money. So you have to actually round up and get 5 cans. Because if you get 4 cans, you're not going to have enough paint.